Buddy?
Hi.
Hello. If you keep saying that, I'm going to have to stop coming. Okay?
Okay. Last week's year was very good. It spoke to me.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
Okay,
I
good.
sent it to him.
Oh, yeah? Okay, great. So, like I said last week, what we're doing in the process of learning this mimer, this Chassidic mimer, which we see already different from the sichos that we'd done previously, is that the sichos kind of, they just kind of go through a topic and like a class, kind of just what's the problem, what's the solution, what are the different, possible solutions, knock them down, and here this is the real answer, this is an answer, and how it fits in and what the teaching is, everything. This is much more deep, getting in and kind of inching through a very deep idea, very, very inching through. That's okay.
Go.
And so basically, it's the process of kind of inching through this mimer and really kind of wading through these deep ideas, making sure we understand them, reviewing them, and then taking the next step forward to understand where it's going. Okay, and so that's kind of where we're at. Okay, so. Yeah.
Well, which was why I was, I didn't want to bother you, which is why I was calling in order to put it into action.
Well, right now we're just working on the thinking part of it. Okay, just the idea part of it, and then maybe when we're done, we can start talking about what it means to live with these ideas and practice these ideas, or what do we need to practice on a daily basis that can get us to a greater living with these ideas and how to make them real for us in our lives. But let's first just try to finish this, and so the process is really kind of just making sure we're up to where we are, where we've been, and then take the next step. Okay? So basically what we've said so far is that there are really three ways in which God's light comes into the world. First of all, what is the world, right? What is our world? Our world is tzimtzum, right? God has two main divine powers. There are two main divine powers by the Godhead, okay? By God, okay? Whatever that is. Before creation, God before creation has two main powers: shining light and withholding light. The shining light is Or Ein Sof. That's the divine light. That's infinite light. That's godly light that fills everything. Okay? If godly light is filling everything, there's no room to create anything but that. It just fills and blocks. It's like chesed. It's like a fire hose. It doesn't let anything else be there. It just overpowers and pushes. And so then there's this other power that God has, which is tzimtzum, which is not light, which is hiding light, right? Like darkness can't exist in light, right? When there's light, there's no more darkness. You turn on the light, the darkness goes away. Darkness can't exist next to light. Darkness can't exist next to light. Light overpowers it. So there's this power that Hashem has called tzimtzum, which is darkness that can exist next to light. And the two are completely contradictory. Light and darkness can't meld. You either have light or you have darkness. And so God has this ability to have this light, but then have this tzimtzum and this darkness. And this darkness is it's not just some empty, just cavernous emptiness. It's actually the tzimtzum itself, the darkness, if we can think of it as like a matter, that the entire physical world, as we know, is made up of this darkness, of this tzimtzum. Okay? What? Palatable. It's not empty. It's all of the physical world that we have is from the tzimtzum. It's from the body of the tzimtzum that we have nature and our physical world. Okay? The property of it. Okay? And so you have this complete light. You have this complete not light. And then you have to merge them and get some of the light into the darkness to kind of put electricity to it, and that is when that light that is able to penetrate this darkness and enliven it, that is the creation of the world.
Is it darkness? Is the only thing I know is darkness. Is darkness.
Well, it's darkness, meaning it's a real hiddenness. It's not a hiddenness. It's a property of God. God, it's a part of God. We spoke about this last week, I believe, that God is perfect, but part of God's perfection, try to just,
Here we go.
part of God's perfection,
I don't get this.
okay, part of God's perfection,
If he doesn't get it, I shall.
okay, well, we'll
He's
see.
not perfect.
Let's just hear it again.
Okay.
Let's just hear it again. It would be a lack of God's perfection if he couldn't get any better. It's a lack of perfection if you can't get any better. If you've reached the ceiling of how much better you can be, then you're like, oh yeah, you're so perfect you can't get any more perfect. So God's perfection includes minei ubei, as part of it,
Right.
of his perfection, the ability or the constant getting better also. So he has an element that he is improving, that's improving. Okay? In order to be, Rav Kook discusses it, and you didn't hear it like the Judeo-Christian, kind of talk about God doesn't really include this idea.
My problem is the word perfect. You can't use that word.
Well,
if God can perfect himself even more than he's already perfect, then you can't use the word perfect. You can say he's really, really, really good to the top degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think we need to maybe adjust our idea of what perfection is.
Okay.
I think that's really where the adjustment has to happen. Like we think of perfect as, it's the gag, it's the ceiling. There's no more.
There's no more.
There's no more getting better. That's it. It's the top.
Best.
The top. No.
Yeah.
No. The part of Hashem's infinite perfection is that it's always getting better. It's that it's always getting better.
Siri, define perfection.
You also say,
Well, wait, he's got an unlimited.
Okay, go ahead. Go.
Yeah. Okay. So you have this element of God that's this darkness, that's this hiding of the light. Yes.
maybe we can just say he's perfect in the moment. Right now, this universe is absolutely, and God is absolutely perfect, and yet there's still room to grow in the next moment.
And but not just it's perfect and it's perfect. So,
Yeah, it's perfect.
so part of that perfection includes the ability to get better, the always improving, the constantly improving.
Right now, we still have that ability. It's part of perfection.
But that's part of being perfect.
I agree.
Part of being perfect is getting better. Part of being perfect is getting better. Part of being perfect is always improving, is always going up. I don't get it either. Okay? I don't get it either. I don't get it. Okay? So I'm not going to lie to you.
Why do I get it?
Why do you get it?
Because you don't.
Because you don't understand it yet.
But you're perfect.
When you really understand, you'll realize you don't know what it
82.
means. I don't know. Okay, so basically you have the light that comes into that, which is the Or HaKav, the certain light that is able to bend and acquiesce to the darkness, to the limit, to this bounded thing. And that interface, when that light of God is sent into that Tzimtzum that can actually get into that, and because they're really two polar opposites, the light and the not light, it goes in and it becomes subjected to nature, to the laws of nature. Okay, that's the one kind of light that God, that's infinite light that comes into nature and is bound by the laws of nature, bound by the rules that God set up when he created the world. That's that light, infinite light. And we can see that infinity even within nature because we see how nature is like a steam engine, just rolling through, not weakening, not changing, not falling off, going off course, entropy. We see nature just riding it strong. And so therefore we see the kind of infinity-ness that is even within the energy of nature. And that's from this infinite light. Now you have other godly light, other infinite light that can come into the system from the outside. And that expresses itself either in miracles. Okay? And it's either miracles that break nature or miracles that take over nature. Okay? And so what we're saying is that the miracles that actually can take over nature. So you still have nature. It's not like the laws of nature being broken. Okay, it's like we said, like the Maccabees. The laws of nature weren't broken. Everybody got killed in a totally natural way. But the fact that 10 people beat 1,000,000 people is unnatural. Okay, the weak don't win over the strong. So that it was nature. It was God's will taking over nature. Nature still had all its faculties, but it was being driven entirely by God's will. What I was thinking of an example of this also is like, let's say you had a ticker tape, like Times Square, that digital, signage that's going. And all of a sudden it said, I'm Hashem, hi, welcome, how are you? This is God. Like, it's nature. It's the sign is doing what the sign does. Nature has its full capacity, and yet it's being completely driven by Hashem. It's being completely driven by Hashem. Okay? So now that level of miracle is a higher level. And even the highest level, where we said Hashem levado, his like kind of the Godhead, like this highest, light that he can shine in, is that light that creates a miracle that even the person who the miracle occurred to doesn't even realize a miracle happened. That is like spitz. That's the top of this expression of infinite light coming into the system and taking over nature in such a smooth way that even the person who the miracle occurred to did not even chap. He didn't even realize what happened. Okay? Now, but these are the kinds of miracles that happen at the end of days. The final redemption is going to be characterized by this kind of miracle. But what's the big deal? What's the big deal, though? You can't even tell.
The within nature kind of miracle.
The taken over nature kind of miracle. Okay? So now we're coming to the place where we have to understand, wait, so then what's the big deal? Like so you're telling me God is taking over nature, but the whole what we love about the miracles that break nature, like the breaking, like the splitting of the sea and fire into fire and water mingling. Like what we love about those miracles is that they're showstoppers. They're showstoppers, and we love it. It's inspiring and it's amazing and it's uplifting. We love those miracles because they're so galui. It's so revealed that Hashem's power is breaking down nature and taking over. So now we're saying no, but that's not where it's at really. Where it's at is this godly light that comes into this and takes over the fully functioning nature to do God's will. But we don't see it. But it's hard to see. You have to shake people to try to convince them. Do you see what happened with Iran? I have to tell them all statistics. I have to show them math. I have to prove it. And even then, there's room to say, well, these things happen. These things happen. So it's is the final redemption, which is on a higher level, which is going to be a greater redemption, a final redemption. Why is that characterized by miracles? How could that be characterized by the type of miracle that goes unnoticed?
Isn't that existence?
No, existence is nature. Existence is teva. God created a world with laws that God's light, he himself subjected that light to. The Seder, Shtalshalos, nature, science.
That's the will of God.
That's the will of God, but it's a will of God that he set up rules to be constrained by.
We don't see the will of God.
Right. The way we can see it, like the Balakeda says, the way we can see that is to observe how the earth doesn't stop spinning at the top speed. All those things don't keep moving exactly aligned. They say in 20 billion years the sun's going to explode or whatever. We don't see that. We see the sun hanging in there. We see the earth hanging in there. All the planets, all the stars, all the constellations, everything is hanging in there exactly as it's been doing since we've been observing it, not slowing down, not tiring. That's nature.
That God we can't see is nature.
Okay, but then that's still the godly light that's been jailed in the system. And so if we think about it and we go through Chovos HaLevavos and we consider what we have and all of the things and how Hashem made the world and the Chachma and all of these things, so we can come to a great appreciation of God through the observance of nature and existence. It's not L'mayla min HaTeva at that point, no.
I thought your definition, if you're not seeing him, it is only him. There's nothing else going on.
There's nothing else going on. Of course it's all Hashem. Of course. There's the oneness of Hashem and it's all Hashem. But there's a light that Hashem kind of threw into to jail, to be subjected to the laws of nature. And that's what we are encountering on a daily basis. Is that light. We are enlivened by that's what's keeping us going, and this is what nature is made of. Is this light that God in a certain sense decided this light because of its ability to meld with limit had the ability or whatever to come into the system and become jailed, so to speak, by the rules of limit and nature. But there's other Ein Sof light that comes in that from outside the system, not following the laws of nature, and that either comes in an expression of breaking nature, which is these show-stopping miracles, or it comes in with the ability to overtake and control nature, that nature is still fully functional.
That's what I hope it is what's going on right now.
Well, that's right. And we spoke about it last week, that it's really our mindset. If we want to think and rely on nature and the laws of nature, says the beginning of Chovas Levavos, it says the beginning of Shar Bitachon, that if you want to trust in nature, whatever we put our trust in, God will give us that dominion over us. Kilu, if we're, so to speak, if we are relying on nature, I'm relying on the electricity, I'm relying on the army, I'm relying on the governments, I'm relying on the street cleaners, I'm relying on my shower, I'm relying on my bank account, I'm relying on all of these things, then Hashem will say, okay, I'll leave nature and all of those things to protect you and to help you out. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But if I'm willing to say, but if we rely on Hashem and we trust, meaning we feel good, we're trusting, we're serene, we're not anxious, we're calm, we're happy. And we say, I know Hashem's going to make the money work out. I know He's going to make the health thing work out. I know He's going to make these things work out. To the degree that I'm hoping and trusting and working on that, Hashem is right with me. He's right with me. I am not subjected to nature. I'm not subject. Do you know about physics that they don't know what light is? Light's either a particle or a wave. Have you heard this? Yeah. Light is either a particle or a wave. It's both, right? This is exactly the point. If we look at the world like nature isn't like it's nature, then light's a particle. It's an individual little dot, separate, and we're separate. That's nature. But if you are connected to God running the show and the unity of God, and everything is, I don't have to rely on the laws of nature because I know that God is really ultimately running the show, then we get light as a wave. I'm just saying that, but it's a wave. What's a wave? A wave is a string that's connected. It's not an independent thing. A wave it's connected all the way back. It's like a chain. It's something that's connected at the top. A wave doesn't have to be we think of a wave as kind of an independent, thing. But who said a wave is a line that could be connected to its source? And so when we are with that perspective, with that outlook in the world, then we bring upon ourselves a new way of interacting with the world, that God interacts with us differently. If we decide that we're going to be trusting in God, then God says, then I have new rules for you. I'm going to be there for you. Don't worry. But how do I know if I'm really there? My heart. Is my heart feeling good, or is my heart stressed?
Like you said a second ago.
Stressed, by the way.
Sorry.
What?
Yours is stressed.
Thank you. I'm not worried about the money. I'm not worried about okay. And so now I'm in that. We're in that. And
it's a tightrope walk.
And then, but if you don't pay me, I'm going to call a lawyer.
Well, if that's your knee jerk, and the lawyer's going to help me, and the judicial system's going to help me, and my bounce is going to help me.
It's not the knee jerk.
Okay, it's all about what are we relying on? What are we relying on? If I'm really, I have to call authorities, but am I relying on the authorities to do it? Am I relying on? I have a gun. I don't have a gun, but if I had a gun, so I'm not saying you can't have a gun. You can't go to the grocery store. We have to do a shtadlis. I think this is a different topic, and it's really the topic that's the day to day. How do we get this? How do we connect to the wave? How do we connect to the wave that we're always in light as a wave, as that light that's totally connected back? It's not an independent. We don't want to be an independent particle. We want to be in the wave. You know what tuhuda means? Did I say this? Tuhuda. Tuhuda, which is like hoda'a, like thanking, or Yehudi. It's tuhuda means resonance. Means resonance. If we are thankful and it's all, what's a Jew? It's about being in resonance with the reality of the world. When we can be in resonance, we're not an independent particle. We're in resonance with the flow and the wave of light of the way God really wanted it. Okay? So now we're coming up to the end of days. We're coming up to the final redemption. And what is the miracle and the redemption going to be characterized by? The miracle of Hashem's light in the world that you can't even tell. Okay, so like what are we waiting for? Like, are we like, maybe we already had the final redemption, we just didn't notice it, right? I feel Baal HaNes Eino Makir, even the guy the nace happened to doesn't even realize what happened to him. So how is this? So this is the question now. How is this miracle, which is on such a high level, this godly light, Livado, him himself, nothing else intervening, nothing else involved. This is this nature being taken over. This is this great miracle. But the problem is that it's not visible. It's not revealed. It's hidden.
It looks like Teva.
It looks like Teva. It looks just like Teva. And until you step back and kind of say, whoa, what just happened here? It looks like Teva. So how is the final redemption, which is, we assume is to be characterized by even greater level of miracle, even greater level of revelation of God. So then how is it characterized by a style or a level of miracle that is hidden? It's a bummer. It's a letdown. So that's what we're going to discuss today. Okay? Any questions up till now?
What does it all mean?
Okay. Okay. V'hine yadua. Shalomayla ba'bitul dichudi lo hushabitul. Just make sure I'm in the right place here.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Va'al pi ze yesh lo ma'asher chidish arenu neflois shi'eh lo asid lavosh gam ha'nisim ha'lobashim b'teva yu ba'oifen de'arenu neflois. So, according to everything we've said now, what is the chiddush that, right? We said the whole mimer started off with a simple pasuk, one single pasuk in Mika that said, "Kitseischa me'eretz kiyemei seischa me'eretz mitzrayim erenu niflos." Just like the days of you leaving Egypt, I will show you the wonders. So the Rebbe is saying, the erenu b'niflos, I'm going to show you the wonders. What does that mean? What's being expressed here? What's being taught here? Shegam ha'nisim ha'lubashim b'teva, even these miracles that are in nature, that take over nature, which we see experienced today as somewhat hidden, you ba'ofen derenu niflos, that you'll see it. It'll be that level of miracle, but in a way that's completely revealed. That you'll see the nace itself, okay? Okay, stay with me, okay? And I even have a potential example of what this could mean for us, or how we could actually see this in the world, okay? And it'll be mind-blowing. And this that now nature kind of hides the miracle, right? Because it looks, this is just nature. Unless you really look into it, unless you're a mamin, it just looks like nature. Lefisha teva hu hefech hanes, because nature is hepech hanes. Nature is gvul. Nature is the rules. It's set down. It's laws. It's like its own thing against God. Like God has to come in and take it over. God has to come in and break it. Nature is anti. It's anti-God, so to speak. It's darkness. It's what hides God. Nature. And so if you're telling me that and that's why this level of godly miracle is hidden by nature, because nature, if it's still like, there's the kind of miracle that breaks nature. Great, it broke nature. It's a showstopper. We see it's all God, no nace, no nature. But in this miracle, nature is still there. It's still there. It's live and kicking. It's just being controlled. So that element of nature that it's still there is hiding the nace. That will no longer be. שהשינוי שנעשה בטבע הוא הפך חוקי ותכנסו לכן הניסים של מעלה מהטבע. Okay, so he's just reinforming that point, that's why nisim the miracles that break nature are much more revealed, because they break nature. Once nature is staying put and just being controlled by God, it looks like, what's the miracle? Okay. This is in the final, in the time to come. These miracles that take over nature, where nature still exists, will be on the level of, I will show you my wonders. In the future, nature will be elevated. Nature is going to change. That is what's going to happen at the final redemption. Nature will change. What does that mean? Nature will become itself something that reveals infinite light that takes over it. Right now, it's something that hides godliness, right? Everyone can agree. Nature hides, obscures godliness, correct? That's our problem. That's our whole problem. That's the whole problem of the world, is that nature hides godliness.
Helam, yeah.
Helam, olam, helam, it hides. Nature is hiding. That's what it is. If all our five senses, what's coming into us is nature, not God. Is you do this and this does that. You do that and this does that. It's limit. It's gvul. It's boundary, not infinity. Nature is telling us not infinity, finite. That will change. Nature will no longer be that. Nature will transform into a vehicle that will not hide godliness, will not be something that needs to be answered up. It itself will become the vehicle to express godly light and infinity. It will no longer be a hindrance. It will be a conduit. It will be the conduit. It will be a perfect conduit for that, for the revelation of infinity. That's what's going to change. So when Hashem takes over nature, it's not just that Hashem will take over nature, but so why is that a bigger thing? When Hashem takes over nature, it's still kind of like, you still have to kind of dig a little bit to figure out the miracle. So Hashem's going to change nature. He's going to elevate nature, and from the place now where it hides to a place where it reveals, where nature itself will change from something that hides to something that reveals. Okay? I'm not explaining it. I'm just telling you it. Just telling you it. What?
You're doing a good job of not explaining.
Good. Because I'm not trying to explain it. I'm just...
Is that when Adam was in the garden before the sin?
Potentially. So it'll be that, so when Hashem says in Mika, in the Pasuk, I will show you my wonders, that's what he's talking about. You'll see the wonders themselves will be completely visible. Because the nisim, the miracles that take over nature, like Iran thing, like the Hanukkah, like whatever it is, you can't get the door open in the bathroom and you miss the plane, right? Those kinds of miracles, nature, they're in a way that after the revelation, nature's still there hiding it. Nature's still there, it's still hiding. Because the nature, even though it was through nature that this miracle occurred, right? It was through nature. It was the vehicle of nature. It was just being driven by Hashem, but it was still the vehicle of nature that accomplished the miracle, right? Still the vehicle of nature. It was still bombs and fire and, swords and death and blood, and it was still, nature was active, but it was being driven by Hashem. So the fact that the vehicle of nature is still being driven and still there on the road, once the miracle goes away, it's like, oh, okay, I guess God's not here, or it's still a blockage to see the real revelation of Ein Sof, of infinity. It's going to have, so the miracles that take over nature, once the final redemption happens, in La'asid Lavo, in the future time, now these kinds of miracles will be the top. First of all, it will be on nature. So you have that. It doesn't have to break nature. It can even coalesce with nature, but it just takes over nature, right? It has that, right? We said in the very, very beginning of the series that to take over nature is a greater benefit, is a greater sign of this miracle, of the quality of this miracle, because it doesn't have to break nature. It can even exist along with nature. It's so great. It doesn't have to break nature. But so it has that, but also that it's going to be revealed. Because nature will change and will no longer be hiding, will no longer be something that exists in contradiction to infinity, but actually as a vehicle to express infinity. It's true final, ultimate redemption of nature, that it won't hide, but reveal infinity. Okay, that's the redemption of nature. It's the redemption of the world, is that it will no longer be, it will have reached that level of perfection. What are we trying to do, right? We're trying, remember, Hashem is working to improve on this situation. So it has this thing called nature, which looks like it's hiding the light, but that's all so that we can improve and work until the final redemption of nature, redemption of the world, that actually comes to its conclusion, its redemption, that nature is no longer hiding the infinity, but nature is a perfect vehicle for infinity. Again, I'm not explaining it. I'm just saying it. And I'm just saying what's going to be. I don't know. Okay, how to explain that?
That sounds like the revelation you spoke about, that God's constantly should be wearing down the nation from Teva, losing energy, and that he maintained this energy for all these years.
Well, that point is how to see that even nature, in its most limited, defined, constricted form, still we can see a hint of the infinity coursing through it. But now we're going to see, but nature still, that takes thought and observation, because nature, by nature, is hiding.
Right.
You have to look into it, you have to really think about it and tell yourself over and over and over and over, and you have to have meditation, and you have to tell yourself, and you have to have these mantras, and you have to, have these bitachon cards, and you have to these bitachon vads, and you have to these things to keep remembering that this is from Hashem, that this is from Hashem, that this is from Hashem, because nature tells you the opposite. And so what's going to happen is that nature will be redeemed, and nature will no longer tell you the opposite. Nature will tell you exactly the truth. Nature will tell you exactly the truth. Instead of nowadays where nature is telling you the opposite of the truth, finitude, right? There's something other than God. Nature will be a vehicle and a conduit that is revealing God and the truth and infinity, and will not be a contradiction or a mania, an obstacle, but rather a vehicle through which to experience infinity, not have to fight against it to try to get a few seconds of infinity and godliness, okay? Through the mud. Yeah.
Do you purposefully not say the words when Mashiach comes?
I don't know. That's such a when Mashiach comes. When Mashiach comes.
All this,
Like
this revelation, this, amazing, hiddenness moving out of the way.
Yeah. I'll tell you personally, I'm quite happy with Biden. I like Biden. I'm happy with him because I think he is helping rile the world up. I think he's helping, giving justification and riling the enemies of Israel and God up. And I feel that's just quickening things. I'm very happy. And I don't care who wins the election, because either way, it's set up so nicely now that we're like, click, 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 click. It doesn't really matter who wins. It's going, the ride is already taken off. So I'm not bothered. And maybe I'm out of touch. Am I out of touch? I mean, maybe I feel bad of talking to people who are very nervous and very scared and very whatever, and they don't know. And chaval. And thank God I've not, been, like I didn't lose somebody, or, nobody, I had no traumatic experience. So I'm very grateful for that, but so I have the luxury of having this perspective that it's like or just, this is going. I'm not, no political, and anyway, putting trust in any political leader is completely not what we need right now. You know what I mean? And it's practically impossible at this point. So that's another positive thing. Okay. Okay.
If you use that example, either way, I don't care who wins, because then it goes to the idea that Hashem takes the heart and mind of the leader.
Yeah.
So then that would be a revelation of this understanding. It's like this.
This is what.
Because I need to put this energy in, so I'm gonna give this time.
So that's what we spoke about: the particle or the wave. The particle or the wave. It's all about how I decide to conduct my thinking in this world. Do I conduct my thinking that there's nature and I have to rely on this leader, and if this leader, or if he doesn't deliver the bombs, or if the army doesn't train, or if this person does this or that, then we're lost, or we need the army for that or the other thing, then that's what you're subjected to. You got particle light, independent particle light. But if you're saying it doesn't matter who the leader is, Hashem is in control, I trust in Hashem, I have to do my hishtadlus, I have to do what I need to, I have to be grateful for people who are putting their life on the line, really putting their life on the line, putting their body on the line. I have to be grateful, but I know that our shmira is not coming from any amount of guns or training or equipment or anything like that, or planning or strategy or leadership. It's coming from Hashem. It's coming from Hashem 100%.
That's where you're at.
And then,
That's where you're at.
well, that's where I try to be at. And then I'm dealing with light as a wave. Then I get what light as a wave. Because that's a big thing. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to, I have smaller issues in my personal life that are much more difficult to feel comfortable that God is taking care. The Jewish people as a whole, we've made it very far. What do we have to even be worried about anymore? Like we've made it this far. What are we really seriously worried? Come on. God's like I've taken you this far and now I'm gonna dump you. Now I'm gonna leave you to the wall. Like, come on. But in my personal life, when somebody says something I don't like, oh well, who was I trusting in now?
Uh-huh.
When I get my ruffled edges, all these things. The answer is that what? What's the answer? That's where I have to work. I have to work on my thoughts. I have to work. Oh, great! Thank you. I forgot. Thanks so much. I was like, I think it's here. Okay, great. Thank you. It's so sunny out there. Wow. I got a nice. Thanks so much. Thank you.
So this moment of being ruffled, is, as you say, it requires effort.
Yes, it does. It requires effort. So because nature is hiding, nature is obscuring. Nature obscures. And that is what will change. La'asid lavo. Nature will no longer obscure. They will not be a hiding. There will not be this illusion of other. Nature itself will become transparent and clear. And be a vehicle, not a hindrance to truth and infinity, okay, and godly light. And I thought of a way, and I'll end here, and this just be food for thought, because this is kind of what I think. Like, this would be the right AI. I don't understand AI exactly. I'm not like a AI guy, but it seems like AI, in a certain sense, what people are worried about is that you kind of lose a certain control over AI. Like, AI has been kind of manufactured, but it's like it's manufactured in a way like that ultimately Terminator could happen, that the AI kind of they become kind of like they make their own decisions that you couldn't have predicted because, in the original formulation of whatever it is that makes AI, the formulas or the code, the algorithms or whatever it is. It learns itself.
That's what it's called, machine learning.
Yeah. So what happens when at the end of the day, it's out of control, and when you type in ChatGPT, what should I do today? Put on tefillin. Say Kriya Shema. Hashem is one. When AI gets to a point where all it's saying is truth and Torah, like there is where you see that nature is no longer, like, I don't know, that's just one kind of funny example where you see, you can't, where all the ticker tape signs in the world start saying Hashem is one, Hashem is one. And then it's nature. It's what nature is. It's what AI, we don't even know what will it be. And now we'll see that it's completely controlled by Hashem. It's out of our hands. We set something up and the feedback is coming back. Hashem is one. This is the truth. Give tzedakah. Be nice to people. Like this, and this is what it's saying. So you see the control. Nature's still there, and yet you can see the control. So that's just one kind of funny thing. But there will be something, this element that nature will radically change. The Simpson will no longer, I don't know how, but the Simpson will no longer be an obstacle, but will actually, because what is Simpson? Simpson is just a koach of Hashem. Simpson is just a koach of Hashem. It's not.
And that's the deception.
Right.
That's
it's not Hashem.
That's the snake.
It's not Hashem.
Yeah.
It's Hashem.
The problem?
It's like an element of his perfection is something that can get better. So if Tzimtzum is that element that can get better, Tzimtzum is just as much of Hashem as the light. It's just as much a part of Hashem. It's just as much a koyach of Hashem, like the light is like the Tzimtzum. And so when Tzimtzum stops playing games, so to speak, or stops where we can see the clarity that also the Tzimtzum is Hashem, just as much as the light. That is when this miracle will have all the benefits. It will be controlling, and it will be totally visible. Totally visible. That because what was wrong about miracles that bust up nature? Miracles that bust up nature, even though they're showstoppers, you can think to yourself, yeah, but there's still nature when God isn't messing it up. When God's not messing up, there's still something else called nature. This has the benefit that it controls nature, and now nature will, the chiddush that we learned today is that how is this element of light, this infinity, this miracle, which is usually less perceptible, how is that going to classify and characterize the final redemption? Because what's going to happen is nature will be redeemed. The whole redemption, the whole redemptive process will be a redemption of nature from something that seems like there's something other than God to be a perfect vehicle for the expression of God in infinity. Okay? How that will come to be, we have no idea. How that will look, we have no idea. But we know how it looks now. And we have to understand how it looks now. Right now, nature is an obstacle to coming to Hashem. It makes coming to Hashem difficult. It's the struggle to come to Hashem. Right? Are you with me here? Nature, like our body, our mind, our desires, our traumas, it keeps us back. It's the struggle against which we have to be moser nefesh to seek and find God.
And that's in the Yom Yom that's either coming up or just.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because he talks about the idea of the animal soul being an operator of God, meaning if something that comes, you're doing something good and it distracts, the animal soul, it distracts you from service of God, it's actually animal soul. Which is also evil inclination.
Basically, a rubber band can't fly very fast unless there's some tension, right? It's not going to fly far unless there's tension. It's the tension that allows it to fly far. So here we now have the ability through the darkness, through the nature, to be able to improve ourselves because we have the struggle. We have the tension, so therefore we can grow. If everything was just given to us in a silver plate, we knew Hashem, everything clear, crystal clear, where's the growth? There's no growth because there's no struggle. So Teva right now is serving a very important role, providing us with that obstacle, with that struggle, with that tension, that challenge to grow, which gives us the ability to grow in face of that adversity.
Yeah.
The final redemption will be the final redemption. The redemption, there will be no Egypt after this redemption. There will be no Yetzer Hara after this redemption. Nature itself will be redeemed, that it will no longer be a tension and an obstacle and a hindrance. Because really, when we say hindrance, it's a hindrance, but it's what allows us to do it. Because if we didn't have a hindrance, we wouldn't go far. It's the tension that helps us, that we have to be thankful for all our challenges and everything that's distracting and disturbing us, because without it, where would we know where to grow? How would we be able to grow? It's the struggle that creates the growth. So right now, it's the struggle. It's the struggle, it's the hiddenness, it's the obscuring truth that allows us to grow. At the final redemption, that all will be redeemed. And we will no longer have a struggle. We will no longer have a struggle. And nature will not be a blockage, but a vehicle through which to get even closer to Hashem and to see the truth. So we've got a chaparine. We've got a chaparine now, while we still have the struggle. While we still have the struggle, we better chaparine. We better, because the struggle is not going to last forever. The struggle's not going to last forever. You better make the most of your struggle. It's not going to last forever. It's going away. The struggle is going away. If you don't chaparine with your struggle, you're not gonna get it. You're gonna lose it. You're gonna lose the struggle.
You're gonna edit that part out.
You're gonna
Okay. All right.
You're gonna miss out on a free will decision to do a mitzvah.
What's the whole growth? The whole mila. What are you partnering with God? That you are, and this is what went back to yesterday. The Kabbalah. Oh, that your whole body wants to do X and you decide to do Y. That's you're not going to get anymore. You're not going to get that chance to have your whole body want to do X and you still do Y. You still do the good. You still do that. You nullify everything in your being telling you to be angry, and you put on a smile and you give a little tzedakah. That's a skafia. But what's going to happen is hafchia, where nature itself, and this is, you're right, you hit the nail on the head, that is, right now we're in a skafia. We gotta do it. And that's what nature's doing, right? When the miracle, it takes over nature. Nature wants the strong to win. Hashem comes and drives it the way he wants to, and the weak win. The weak win. But it's still nature. Nature wants to do X, but Hashem takes over and does Y. That's us. We are there in that place where all of us want to do X. All of us, all of me wants to do X against God, but I do Y. I do Y. I put on a smile. I give tzedakah. I daven. I say something nice instead of saying something mean. That is bittul. That is nature being taken over. And that's the Kabbalah soul. And that we're going to lose.
And then
we're going to lose that.
And then what?
And then it's going to be just beautiful. Just beautiful.
Because we'll have no struggles?
There's no blood, sweat, and tears anymore, I guess.
That's a good band.
Is it? I never heard of the band. Okay, so we'll pause here, okay?
He's 40, you're 90.